This Tuesday, the Season 2 finale of Daredevil Born Again premiered on Disney+. So, I have finally watched that finale about 20 minutes ago, and here is my, not only finale review, but review of the entire season. Before I dive in, if you would, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, always go in that comment section. Tell me, what are your opinions on the finale and the season as a whole? Now, I have put out a few big length videos. I've also put out a few shorts talking about this show, each individual episode. I didn't do a full review series because I just couldn't find enough to talk about with each episode that would be worth spending time on each week on the channel. So I did like the short reviews a lot of the time. The last time I fully talked about the show, like a long video, was episode 5. I gave you a full review to episode 5. So if you didn't know, let me catch you up heading into this finale. So the first 4 episodes of the season for me were very frustrating, honestly, and very disappointing. Where there were things that I enjoyed. There were a few good action sequences. I always like the characters being around these characters performed by Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio. Phenomenal stuff. So there was plenty to enjoy in the first half of the season. I just couldn't get past some of the really dumb things. Like the fact that Wilson Fisk is mayor. Big issue with the first season. The fact in this season that he's basically just able to do whatever he wants, and like everybody, like most people are just cool with it. Specifically, like he went on a boxing match. Like Mayor Fisk fought a real boxer and essentially killed him. Like I think the boxer got killed in that match. And like everybody's just like, oh yeah, Mayor Fisk, let's go Mayor Fisk. The fact that a boxing match with a mayor would be allowed in the first place is insane. The fact that he killed him and no one cares is even more crazy. So I had issues. But then episode 5 started to put a little bit of humanity into the season, where throughout this entire show, like season 1 and 2 of Born Again, Kingpin felt like the cartoon villain. Oh, I'm rolling over the city and I'm gonna get all the vigilantes or terrorists, and like cartoonish villain. Whereas in the original show, like he had motives, he had like genuinely interesting ideas for his motive that us as the audience could think about. And then we get to this show and it's just cartoon Kingpin. But obviously when Vanessa gets the chunk of glass stuck in her head and eventually kills her, we gotta have an episode where we see the humanity of Kingpin, as we learn that he's not just the guy who wants to stop all the vigilantes. He's a human, and dives into the humanity of that. Of course, we had a little bit of the dumb stuff with Daredevil and Bullseye and a little bit of ridiculousness there. But, yeah. Episode 5 was a turning point. Episode 6, Episode 7, phenomenal episodes. Episode 8, really good finale. All of my frustrations with the first half of the season essentially left, because the second half of the season, awesome stuff. I really, really dug it. I'm sitting back and I'm thinking and I'm like, well, it feels like kind of 2 separate seasons, where the first half of the season is about stopping the vigilantes and trying to stop Kingpin. Second half of the season's like that, but it feels so much more consistent with its tone, if that makes any sense. Where the first half of the season was goofy. There, like I said, there were a few action sequences, but a lot of them were not shot very well. And overall, on a story level, I just couldn't connect with it as much as I should have. But then the second half of the season, like I said, we get that episode where we get the humanity, and it all just feels so more real. It feels so much more real than that first half of the season. And I think a big chunk of that is, and I thought about this a lot while watching the finale, it feels like the original run of the Daredevil show. Specifically because, like in episode 5, you get like all the flashbacks and stuff, but you actually start to care about these characters. You actually start to care about what's happening here. And I, overall, ended up really digging it. The intensity is at an all-time high. Episode 6, obviously, you got all the crazy stuff happening. You got, like, the riots just being ramped up to 10. Episode 7, like, you get personal character moments that are just incredibly intense. Especially, like, the way that episode 7 ended. left a tear in my eye. If you don't know, the Daniel and Buck chemistry throughout this season of television was by far one of my favorite parts. And like the conclusion of that, I thought was incredibly effective. So the intensity, the emotions, the character moments, all of them really worked and led up to a finale where when the first season entered the finale, it was just a setup. The whole season was a setup for season 2. And that's why I was very frustrated. It felt like we were getting to the finale and we were going to get good closure. And for the most part, we did get some really good closure in the finale. I thought the finale was good. I'm not going to say it's great, because like the more I'm thinking about it and like while watching it, I did have that thought in the back of my head, like, this is a little dumb. I'm not so sure about the direction we're going here. I think when Matt Murdock, obviously, he goes to the trial, he brings Wilson Fisk in as the witness, and the way they defeat Wilson Fisk is in the courtroom. That is phenomenal. In fact, I don't even think that we really needed like the ramped up big action finale, because bringing down Wilson Fisk in the courtroom was the most satisfying part. Matt revealing to New York that he is the Daredevil, incredibly satisfying, and seeing Fisk learn what the true plan of Matt is to take him down. Really good stuff. And again, some of the best parts from that original show were the courtroom sequences. The best parts of this season were the courtroom sequences. And part of me wishes that they did it like in a more slow, contained finale. Of course, I didn't hate like when the riots started happening and New York's going to war with itself and they storm the courtrooms and they're stopping Fisk. In fact, one of the best moments from this episode was Fisk opening up the door, boo, punching that guy, throwing him against the wall, and it just gets all gory and insane. There was a part of me that's like, okay, it's all right. Like, it's fine. The action in the show wasn't really my favorite. And I've mentioned this before, but it feels like it's trying to be too gory. And so, like, every hit, like, there's, like, gallons of blood going everywhere. And it was like, okay, it feels a little bit trying to be a little too gory. But it was cool watching Fisk run throughout the area. And I will say it's incredibly satisfying. The way that he's defeated with Daredevil saving his life again from all of the riots and being like, yo, we want this city to be peace. I'll turn myself in. You leave. Very satisfying finale. Except, I did have this thought in the back of my mind, and I'm thinking about it a little bit more, is Fisk refuses the offer, goes out, kills like 50 people. Like, I'd imagine that he killed them, unless like getting picked up and your head pushed in doesn't kill you, which in that case, wow. Fisk went out and killed like so many more people, and he's still getting the offer. Kind of left a thought in the back of my head, like, this is kind of dumb. I'm not going to say it's a frustrating episode, because overall I was very positive on it. But the more I think of this episode, the more I'm sitting back and kind of letting it marinate. I'm like, I feel like there's a little bit more you could have done better here. And if I had my perfect finale, I would have ended it in the courtroom, had the riots, and then kind of had Daredevil go out and give a speech to the riots, turning himself in, Wilson Fisk agreeing to leave. Maybe just a isolated fight with Daredevil and Fisk. I don't think like all the mobsters breaking in and then Fisk killing them and then still getting the offer. That part wasn't satisfying. It was very satisfying to me when Daredevil did turn himself in. He gets arrested. The episode ends with him in jail. Other things we noticed was Matthew Lillard's character was essentially a handler, I guess. He kind of owned Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, who were in the show, not for a long period of time. Not enough for, like, to touch on, but it was nice seeing them within the season. But his new person that he's handling is Bullseye, so that was very cool, and made me be like, yeah, I want a Bullseye special presentation. We're getting a Punisher one here in, like, 5 days. Give me that Bullseye one. I want to see the Bullseye special presentation. So that was pretty satisfying, seeing what's gonna happen there. But like I said, when we see Fisk like stand at the ocean, stare out at the ocean, like he's free, it's almost like the show, to get Fisk to a somewhat satisfying ending for him, completely tries to forget, like, his past, especially in the original show, and then, like, the fact that he just killed, like, 50 more people. It's a little bit crazy. It, like, again, I've shared my frustrations with the fact that how they let Fisk get away with so much in the show. But overall, I was very satisfied with the finale. I thought it was a very good finale. Are we going to get a season 3? That is my big question, is I'm very curious. I kind of wish we do. I don't know what more we could do with a story, but leaving Daredevil in prison, either that or we're going to get something, again, in 5 days with the Predator, the Punisher special presentation. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen next in this show. So, a season that the first half of it, I was personally very frustrated by. The second half of it completely won me over. The finale, I had my fair share of issues the more I'm thinking about it. But at the end of the day, I was very satisfied. I'm very curious to see what is going to happen next in this franchise, in the show, what's going to happen next with these characters. I liked the season well enough. I think it's fine. I'm obviously going to get my final score here in a minute. But, again, there are the big looming issues. It was much better than Season 1, however. Season 1, very frustrating. Season 2, much better than Season 2. Before I give it my final score, a couple things. The Mortal Kombat 2 review, it's Mother's Day this Sunday, and my mom's all like, well, we could go see it as a family. And I'm like, well, I'll go see it again, but I'm going to go see it on Thursday night. And she's all like, well, then we're just not going to see it as a family. So now I got to wait till Sunday to watch Mortal Kombat 2 to make my mom happy. So the review is going to be out Sunday. And stay tuned, we're going to have a ranking of all of the Daredevil seasons, the original run, Born Again, The Defenders. We're going to have a ranking of all those updated with Season 2. This is coming very soon. And with that said, Daredevil Born Again, the first half is very rough for me. The second half ups the intensity, ends on a somewhat satisfying note that I liked. I don't like how they let Fisk get away with so much, and I feel like the writing towards this character is a little bit rough. But there are very big standout moments in this season of television. Overall, I'm going to go lukewarm positive towards the show, but positive enough. Daredevil Born Again for me, Season 2 is going to get a B. And yeah, I'd say it's worth watching on Disney+. So thank you guys for clicking on my review of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. We only got, what is it? What was that? Episode 6 that just released to The Voice. So we just got 3 more weeks till full review and a ranking of the seasons coming very soon. And with that said, subscribe.